I'm standing outside the Old Bailey, where a former Brighton and Sussex medical school student, Mundill Mahil, was today sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for her part in a plot that left a besotted admirer dead. Mundill Mahil was in the second year of her degree at Brighton and Sussex Medical School when she lured Gagandip Singh here to her house on Gladstone Place, whom she shared with 5 fellow medical students. I am joined by Mabina, who is a Brighton University student and is now living in the same house that Mundill Mahil lived in when the murder took place. Now, Mabina, had you ever talked to the students who lived in this house previously to you?
Yeah, I briefly spoke to them when I was looking around the house, and they all seemed really nice. I just didn't understand why they would want to move out of such a nice house. So obviously now I know. And I don't know, it just seemed quite strange because they said that the landlord was really nice, and I thought maybe, they'd had a problem with him, but they seemed to, say that everything was great, and I think they're still students here, so I don't know why they would want to move out.
It was here that Darren Peters and Havinder Choker lay in wait. As Mundill ate key lime pie in the kitchen, the 2 thugs mercilessly beat Gagandip, wrapped him in a duvet, and placed him in the boot of a car. But the question remains, what was the motive behind the vicious and murderous attack? Mundill claims that one evening in August 2010, Gagandip had travelled down here to her house in Brighton and attempted to rape her. Gagandip's family and friends, however, paint a very different picture.
His approach towards her, even from the last day, we saw that when she called him, he went there with flowers and a teddy bear, and there was no ill intention on his part. The whole A to Z on the other side was manipulation and greed.
When Gagandip Singh's father passed away in 2009, he confided in her and she showed him a lot of support whilst he's going through a very aggravated time, and she helps him a lot through his grievance of his father, and she showed him a lot of comfort and listened to him a lot, and he was very thankful of the part she played in his father's death.
Well, I do believe both of them had a form of a relationship which did go on for a while. At the end of the day, I do feel that they did have a fallout. I'm not sure, and I can't really 100% comment, but there are rumours that Gagandip did actually loan her quite a lot of money, maybe in the excess of £25,000. That might have actually been a motive for her never wanting to pay him back.
We believe Mundill Mahil has today suffered a serious injustice. It is clear to us that the CPS made a very hasty decision to charge her with murder at a time when the police investigation had barely got off the ground. When the police investigated in more detail, they found many features that were in Mundill's favour, in particular her humane, gentle and loving character, and the attempts she made over a period of months to prevent anyone doing any harm to Gagandip Singh. As we see it, the prosecution struggled at the trial to explain how it could be that Mundill suddenly decided he should be attacked. We acknowledge the care that the jury has taken in considering this case, but we suspect that they were perplexed by a mass of contradictory evidence and that they returned verdicts which did not make sense after having heard a summing up which did not properly present Mundill's case to them. Mundill Mahil will be appealing this conviction and sentence. We know that she will continue to enjoy the loving support of her family and many friends, all of whom were shocked by this conviction, as they know she was not the person described by the prosecution and the judge during these proceedings.
I am joined by Matt Nicholls of Court News UK. Now Matt, Mundill Mahil was convicted of grievous bodily harm with intent. Why was she not convicted of murder?
Well, the jury were actually given a series of quite clear sort of legal directions about this during the trial. What actually happened was Gagandip was lured down to Brighton on the Friday evening. It was there that he was sort of beaten unconscious and then bundled into the boot of the car. And there was quite a big time gap between the time when he was actually first assaulted and he was driven back to London and that's where he was set on fire. So I think what sort of swung it was the massive time gap between when he was first assaulted and when he actually sort of met his end. And the jury must have, we can't know because we can't ask them, we're not allowed to do that by law, but they must have come to the conclusion that there was such a big time gap that Mundill couldn't have foreseen that Gagandip was going to die in the way that he did.
The family are in pieces. I mean, they're very upset, angry, and quite frankly astonished that this verdict of GBH with intent was given to her. I mean, at the very least, they were expecting murder. But that being said, even GBH with intent does carry a maximum sentence of, check me on this, I think it's life sentence. And the judge did promise lengthy custodial sentences for all three involved in this murder.
Co-defendant Darren Peters was sentenced to 12 years, Havinder Choker to 22 years imprisonment. Both played a part in beating Gagandip Singh unconscious, placing him in the boot of his sister's car and setting him on fire while he was still alive. Had events unfolded differently, Gagandip could have had a successful career in TV, and Mundill would have been halfway through her studies to become a doctor, well on her way to achieving her dream of saving lives. I'm Christelle McCracken, reporting for Uni TV.